Signing up for a subscription can take less than a minute. The button is bright. Your payment method may already be stored. Access begins immediately. But when you try to leave, the button can disappear into a maze of account menus, warnings, discount offers, surveys, and repeated confirmations. That difference is not an accident of geometry. It can be part of the business model. The two journeys are designed for opposite outcomes. Enrollment is optimized to remove hesitation. Cancellation is often designed to create it. One screen says "Start now." The other asks whether you are sure, reminds you what you will lose, offers a cheaper plan, requests a reason, and then asks you to confirm again. The hidden question is not why a website has several screens. It is why a company would spend money testing those screens. The answer is that even a small delay, a missed link, or one accepted retention offer can preserve another month of revenue. At scale, tiny changes in cancellation behavior become very large numbers. The mechanism is called a negative option. Instead of asking the customer to approve every future charge, the company treats silence or inaction as permission to continue. That can be convenient. Nobody wants to re-enter a card number every month for a service they use. But convenience depends on the customer's ability to reverse the decision. Subscription economics make retention unusually powerful. Imagine a service with 1 million customers paying $20 each month. If fewer customers leave, the company collects more revenue without paying to acquire replacements. A small change in churn can increase the expected lifetime value of the entire customer base. This example is illustrative, but the incentive is real. The engine has 5 basic steps. Acquire a customer, activate the account, begin recurring billing, retain the relationship, repeat. Marketing usually receives attention because acquisition is visible and expensive, but retention can be even more valuable because the payment connection already exists. There are 2 very different ways to retain someone. Earned retention comes from a useful product, fair price, reliable service, and trust. Obstructed exit comes from friction. The customer is no longer choosing to stay because the offer wins. The customer stays because leaving requires more attention than they expected to spend. That friction can appear at several layers. Discovery friction hides the cancellation path. Effort friction adds steps. Emotional friction emphasizes lost benefits or irreversible consequences. Ambiguity friction leaves the customer unsure whether the process is complete. None of these elements proves illegality by itself. Together, however, they can reveal the objective of the system. The asymmetry is the clue. Companies control both doors. Every field removed from sign-up can reappear during cancellation. Every shortcut offered during enrollment can become a detour during exit. When one direction is effortless and the other is exhausting, the difference deserves an economic explanation. The cancellation interface often behaves like a funnel. Each screen is another opportunity to stop the departing customer. Some offers are genuinely useful. A lower price may solve the real problem. A pause may be better than cancellation. But the same architecture can also obscure the customer's original decision. A typical path begins with discovery. Find the account page, locate billing, open membership settings, then explain. Choose a reason. Next, decline an alternative. Continue past warnings. Confirm the cancellation. Finally, verify that the account actually shows an end date. The exact path changes, but each stage creates another chance to abandon the attempt. A Federal Trade Commission complaint against Care.com described internal testing of cancellation flows. According to the complaint, the company studied whether a 6-page downgrade flow could improve the save rate compared with shorter versions. In that context, saving a member meant preventing a person who had started the process from successfully canceling. These were allegations in a complaint, not our independent findings. Interface hierarchy matters too. A bright button can direct the eye toward keeping the plan, while the link that continues cancellation appears smaller or quieter. The words may technically exist on the screen, yet the design can still shape which choice feels normal and which choice feels dangerous. This is why cancellation friction cannot always be dismissed as careless design. A confusing exit may be measured, tested, and refined toward a business metric. The experience becomes a revenue system. The same analytical tools that increase checkout conversion can be used to reduce successful cancellation. The largest recent example involved Amazon Prime. In 2025, Amazon agreed to a $2.5 billion settlement, resolving Federal Trade Commission allegations that it enrolled consumers without adequate consent and made Prime difficult to cancel. The settlement does not turn every disputed allegation into a judicial finding, but its scale shows how valuable the issue had become. The total included a $1 billion civil penalty and $1.5 billion for consumer refunds. According to the Commission, eligible customers include certain people who entered Prime through challenged enrollment flows or tried to cancel through the online flow, but could not do so during a period beginning in June 2019 and ending in June 2025. Automatic refunds began in late 2025. Claim notices continued in 2026. The settlement also required changes to enrollment and cancellation. The important lesson is not that one company invented subscription friction. It is that the economics were large enough to produce one of the most significant consumer protection settlements in the Commission's history. Other recent matters show the same pattern across creative software and digital content. In March 2026, the Justice Department announced a proposed $150 million resolution of allegations involving Adobe subscription disclosures, cancellation, and early termination fees. Half was described as civil penalties, and half as free services for customers. In May 2026, the Federal Trade Commission announced a proposed $35 million Shutterstock settlement involving allegations about renewal terms, consent, cancellation fees, and difficult cancellation. A separate 2025 Chegg settlement required $7.5 million for affected consumers and a simple mechanism to stop subscription charges. The legal vocabulary matters. Online negative option cases often ask whether material terms were disclosed clearly, whether the customer gave express informed consent, whether recurring charges could be stopped through a simple mechanism, and whether the company misrepresented any important fact. Different facts can trigger different statutes, regulations, or state laws. The broadest federal attempt was known as click to cancel. The Federal Trade Commission announced a final rule in 2024 that generally aimed to make cancellation as easy as enrollment. The rule addressed disclosure, consent, and simple cancellation across many forms of negative option marketing. Then the policy story reversed. A federal appeals court vacated the amended rule in July 2025. The broad national standard disappeared before becoming the stable baseline many consumers expected. The underlying disputes did not disappear with it. In March 2026, the Commission started the rulemaking process again and requested public input. It reported receiving more than 100,000 complaints about negative options and related practices over the previous 5 years. The agency asked whether to retain the older rule, revive parts of the vacated rule, adopt different provisions, or rely on alternatives. The absence of the broad rule does not mean subscription businesses operate without federal law. The Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act applies to online negative option transactions and requires clear material terms, express informed consent, and simple mechanisms to stop recurring charges. The Federal Trade Commission Act can also reach unfair or deceptive practices, depending on the evidence. The result is a fragmented map. Federal statutes, older regulations, agency enforcement, state automatic renewal laws, payment network rules, and contract terms overlap. A cancellation flow may look identical on 2 screens while the applicable legal obligations differ because of the customer's location, enrollment method, or type of service. California has established one of the stronger state baselines. Amendments effective in July 2025 require, among other things, express affirmative consent, specified reminders, and accessible cancellation. The law generally requires cancellation through the same communication medium used to enroll or the medium through which the consumer normally interacts with the business. For online enrollment, California law generally requires an online termination method that does not add steps that obstruct or delay immediate termination. The amended law also addresses reminders for long terms, extended trials, price changes, and annual recurring plans. Exact applications and exceptions depend on the transaction. Retention offers are not automatically forbidden. California's statute expressly allows certain discounts, benefits, or information about the consequences of cancellation, provided the customer can still complete cancellation promptly through a clear and continuously available path. The line is not whether the company may persuade. The line is whether persuasion becomes obstruction. If billing continues after cancellation, evidence matters. Keep the confirmation, capture the account status, contact the company in writing when possible. Check subsequent statements. For automatic debits from a bank account, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau explains that consumers can revoke authorization and contact their bank, while remembering that stopping a payment does not necessarily cancel an underlying contract or debt. Easy cancellation changes the competitive equation. When a company cannot rely on confusion, fatigue, or forgotten renewal, the product must earn the next month. Price, service, quality, and trust become more important because the customer can leave without paying an attention tax. That does not make subscriptions bad. Recurring plans can reduce transaction costs, fund continuous service, and give customers predictable access. The problem begins when the recurring relationship survives for reasons the customer did not knowingly choose. The hidden margin in a subscription is not only the monthly price, it is the difference between a customer who actively stays and a customer who simply fails to escape. The strongest subscription business is not one that traps the customer. It is one that remains easy to leave and still worth choosing again.